Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're kicking things off with a pretty interesting idea, maybe even provocative. What if money isn't really what we're chasing?
Right. What if it's actually, those powerful feelings that can unlock?
Exactly. Like empowerment, freedom, security, even that amazing feeling of being able to help people you care about.
Mm-hmm.
So the real challenge then, it seems, is how do you get a handle on this thing? This shapeshifter, so it doesn't end up controlling you.
It's such a fundamental question, isn't it? So many people grapple with it. And for our deep dive today, we're really pulling insights from Money, Master the Game.
Ah, yes. That's a huge piece of work.
It really is super comprehensive. It basically extracts wisdom straight from some of the world's, greatest financial minds. We've dug through the articles, the research, those really candid interviews too.
Oh, to give you a shortcut, really. To get properly informed on this stuff.
It's the goal.
Absolutely. And our mission today, it's kind of ambitious. We want to fundamentally shift how you understand money.
Moving it away from being this heavy burden.
Yeah, towards seeing it as a game you can actually win. We're talking about a practical blueprint, for setting and hitting your financial dreams.
And, like you hinted at, uncovering some maybe surprising things about our own psychology around money and even what the future might hold in terms of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
So look, whether you're just starting out, maybe getting ready for retirement, or honestly just curious about how the super wealthy think,
this deep dive is for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Crafted for you to help you get the knowledge quickly, thoroughly, and hopefully
with a few of those aha moments along the way.
Yeah, the ones that stick.
Let's jump right in then. The material we looked at starts by pointing out how money itself is almost, illusory these days.
Right. It's not gold bars or stacks of cash for most of us.
Nope. It's zeros and ones flying around in computer systems. Basically a blank canvas for all the meaning and emotion we project onto it.
But here's the kicker, the profound insight.
You either use money or it uses you.
Right.
Simple as that. You master it or, it masters you.
The power isn't inherent in the money itself. It's in our perception, our habits around it.
Understanding that shift from tangible stuff to this psychological game, that's really step one. To actually wield its power, not just be pushed around by it.
That's a crucial distinction, and it really sets the scene for the financial world we live in now.
Totally different from our parents' or grandparents' time.
Oh, completely. We're way past the era of guaranteed pensions. Now, most of us are trying to figure out these complex 401ks, IRAs.
And all the acronyms, it's like alphabet soup sometimes.
Seriously, CDOs, REITs, MBSs, MLPs, CDSs, CETFs. These are all basically different kinds of complex financial instruments, often tied to debt or real estate or specific market slices.
Yeah, it can definitely feel like a WTF moment for anyone trying to make sense of it.
And the reality check is pretty stark. There's this one study, Ernst & Young, I think, showing 75% of Americans actually risk running out of money before they die.
75%. That's genuinely sobering. How do so many people miss something so vital?
It's a huge blind spot. And then you look at the Social Security system, it's under incredible strain.
Yeah, the numbers there are crazy.
Back in 1950, you had, 16 and a half workers for every person getting benefits?
And now?
Now it's down to just 2.9 workers per recipient.
Wow. So clearly, just relying on that, probably not a solid plan for a comfortable retirement.
Not really sustainable long term. And what's maybe even more worrying is people know they should save more, right? We all kind of know it.
But the savings rates are still surprisingly low.
Exactly. There's this disconnect.
And this brings us to, a really powerful personal angle in the source material. The why behind this whole quest for financial strategies.
Yeah. The author talks very openly about it. A childhood dealing with poverty, this really impactful story about a Thanksgiving food delivery.
Changed his whole perspective on giving, right?
Completely. And then he had his own major setbacks, lost, $400 million in the dot-com crash. Yeah. So those experiences really fueled this deep, almost obsessive drive to find the clues, to learn from people who had figured it out, reading over 700 books, trying to distill those principles for lasting financial well-being.
Okay, so we get the why. It's deeply personal, and the stakes are high. Where do the sources say we should begin? What's that very first critical step towards mastery?
They call it becoming an investor, not just staying a consumer.
Okay, investor, not consumer.
And it starts with building something they call a freedom fund.
Freedom fund. I like the sound of that.
And the bedrock of this whole thing, something Einstein himself apparently called the most important invention ever.
Wow, Einstein. What is it?
Compounding. The monumental power of compound interest.
The most important invention. That's a massive claim. How do they actually illustrate that kind of power, make it real for us?
Well, there's this great story in the material about twin brothers, William and James.
Ah, the twins, yes.
So William invests just $4,000 a year, but he starts young, at age 20, does it for 20 years, and then just stops.
Okay, stopped investing at 40.
Right. His brother James, he starts later, maybe invests for longer, but William, because he started early, ends up with something like 600% more money.
600%. Just from starting earlier.
Exactly. It just hammers home that the sooner you get compounding working for you, the better. Time is the magic ingredient, maybe even more than the amount.
And it's not just some theoretical math problem either.
No way. Think about Theodore Johnson, UPS employee, right? Never made more than like $14,000 a year back then.
$14,000, that's not a huge salary.
Not at all. But he consistently saved 20% of every paycheck, every bonus, put it into UPS stock. And guess what?
He must have done okay.
He accumulated over $70 million.
$70 million on that salary. That's incredible.
It is. And then you contrast that with someone like, say, Mike Tyson. Made nearly $500 million.
Huge money.
And went bankrupt.
Wow. That really drives the point home, doesn't it? It's not about the income figure.
Nope. It's about what you keep, what you do with it, those consistent habits.
Which avoids what the book calls the anti-time machine trap.
Yeah, exactly. Where your main money machine is just you. Trading your hours for dollars.
The goal has to be setting up a system, right? Something that makes money even when you're sleeping.
Precisely. Breaking free from that direct time for money link.
And a key piece here, sounds simple, but it's crucial. Automation.
Oh, absolutely key. The material really stresses automating your savings. Get that money redirected before you even see it, before it hits your main account.
Kicks the real power out of it.
Totally. Simplifies the whole process, builds that discipline almost without you thinking about it.
Okay, so that's the foundation. Become an investor, build the freedom fund, harness compounding, automate. Got it.
So with that groundwork laid, now we need to pull back the curtain on what the sources call the rigged game of finance.
Rigged game. Okay, sounds ominous.
Well, the modern investment world is incredibly complex, like we touched on with all those acronyms. It can feel totally overwhelming.
It really can. And I guess within that complexity, there are these myths that get thrown around, things that can really mess you up.
Definitely. Myth number one they tackle. You got to take huge risks to get big rewards.
Right. You hear that all the time. No pain, no gain.
But the experts introduce this idea of asymmetric risk reward.
Asymmetric,
Yeah.
meaning unbalanced.
Exactly. Looking for bets where the potential upside is way, way bigger than the potential downside.
Okay, how does that work in practice?
They give this amazing example of J. Kyle Bass, the hedge fund guy.
What do you do?
Instead of melting down nickels, which, by the way, is illegal, he just bought them, $2 million worth of nickels.
Why nickels? Why?
Because he figured out each 5-cent coin actually contained 6.8 cents worth of metal at the time.
Get out. So just holding them was like a built-in profit.
Pretty much a 36% potential return with almost zero downside risk because he knew eventually the government would change the metal content, making the old ones scarcer and more valuable. It's about finding that edge, that built-in safety margin.
That is smart. Really smart. Okay, so that debunks the huge risk for huge reward myth. What's myth number 2?
Myth 2. Our fees. Oh, they're just a small price to pay.
Ah, the fees. Yeah, you see those tiny percentages.
So tiny. The sources are really blunt here. They call the mutual fund industry in many cases a skimming operation.
Skimming. Wow.
Yeah. They break down how average fees, often around 3.17% when you add everything up, sometimes there are like 17 different types of fees.
17.
Yep. And those fees can absolutely devour your returns. We're talking 50%, even 70% of your potential gains over a lifetime. Just gone.
Half to 70%. That's criminal.
It's eye-opening, isn't it? They use this example. Jason, Matthew, and Taylor all start with $100, all get a 7% return before fees.
Okay.
But Taylor pays just 1% in fees, Jason pays 3%. Over time, Taylor ends up with nearly twice as much money, like $574,000 versus Jason's $324,000.
Just from that 2% difference in fees.
Compounded over years, yes. And that doesn't even count the hidden plan administration fees often lurking in 401k, averaging another 1.3% to 1.5% on top.
Man. Those small percentages are working against you just as hard as compounding should be working for you.
Exactly. It's the dark side of compounding.
Oh, devastating. What's myth 3?
Myth 3. Our returns, what you see, is what you get.
This sounds sneaky.
It is. Mutual funds love to report time-weighted returns. Think of it like the fund's batting average if it played in every game. Perfectly. Looks great in ads.
Right. Makes them look good.
But what you actually keep, your personal batting average based on when you bought and sold. That's the dollar-weighted return, and it's often way lower.
Because we buy high and sell low emotionally.
Often, yeah. Plus, there's this thing called survivorship bias. Funds that do badly just get quietly merged into successful ones. Poof, they disappear.
So the industry averages look way better than the reality for investors.
Much better. David Swenson, the Yale guy, points out it's even worse than that common stat that 96% of managers underperform their benchmark. The real picture is grim.
So most people are getting a raw deal and don't even know it.
Pretty much. Which leads right into myth number 4. I'm your broker, and I'm here to help.
Okay, what's the catch here?
This is critical. A broker typically works for their brokerage firm. They're legally obligated to the firm, not necessarily to you. They don't have to give you the absolute best advice for your situation.
They're more like salespeople then.
Essentially, yes, selling the firm's products. A fiduciary, on the other hand, usually an independent registered investment advisor, is legally bound. They must put your interests first.
That's a massive difference.
Huge. But there are literally hundreds of professional designations out there, and most don't make someone a fiduciary. It's incredibly confusing for people.
So how does the average person even know? How can you tell if you're working with a real fiduciary?
Well, the material mentions Hightower as an example of a firm built specifically on that fiduciary, conflict-free model, initially just for the ultra-rich.
Right, the kind of advice most people don't get access to.
But get this, they apparently offer a complimentary review service now to help anyone figure out if their current advisor is acting in their best interest or maybe taking advantage of them with high fees or unsuitable products.
That's huge. Democratizing that level of advice.
It really is.
And it gets even darker, doesn't it? The source material quotes Michael Lewis, the Flash Boys author.
Yeah, he states it point blank. The U.S. stock market is rigged.
Rigged. By who?
By the exchanges themselves. Big banks, high-frequency traders, they can literally see your order coming, step in front of it, buy the shares, and sell them back to you a split second later at a slightly higher price.
That's infuriating. If the whole market is rigged, what's the takeaway for us? Just give up.
No, not give up. The key insight isn't to run screaming from the market. That high-frequency stuff mostly impacts other traders, not necessarily the long-term buy-and-hold index fund investor.
Okay.
The takeaway is understand the game. Simplify. Avoid complexity you don't grasp. And most importantly, work with a fiduciary who's on your side, not the house's side. Be informed, but don't let it paralyze you.
Got it. Informed, not intimidated.
Yeah.
And that leads to the 401k trap.
Right. The 401k started as just a supplement, right? A little extra savings vehicle.
Yeah, alongside pensions.
But then pensions disappeared, and suddenly the 401k became the main retirement plan for millions. And often they're loaded with those high fees we talked about.
And employers aren't always checking them properly.
Exactly. Many employers are legally supposed to benchmark their plans every year, compare fees and performance, but a lot just don't. There are companies now, like America's Best 401k mentioned in the book, that help businesses audit their plans. They apparently save typical small plans like $20,000 a year just in unnecessary fees.
20 grand a year just from getting the fees right.
Yeah. And finally, there's the danger of chasing returns.
Oh yeah, the hot stock tip, the must-have fund.
The sources call it financial porn. All that hype, it triggers emotional decisions. Fear of missing out makes you buy high. Panic makes you sell low. It's a classic trap.
Any proof of how damaging that is?
There's a study by Mark Hulbert on investment newsletters. Even the absolute top-performing newsletter averaged over 16% a year, which is amazing. Well, during one bear market, it lost nearly 2/3 of its value, 66% down.
Oof, that's a stomach churner.
Exactly. It shows the brutal reality of volatility. Your own emotions are often your worst enemy in investing. The goal isn't being right all the time, it's being right enough and sticking to the plan, not letting fear or greed derail you.
Okay, so we've unmasked the rigged game, the myths, the fees, the emotional traps. Where do we go from here? How do we actually make this game winnable?
This brings us to part 3, figuring out the actual price of your dreams.
The price tag. And it's surprising, right, that most people haven't actually done the math.
It is, even millionaires, apparently. They haven't sat down and calculated exactly what number they need for financial security or for the retirement they envision.
Why not? Just fear.
Often, yeah. The numbers can feel huge, intimidating, so they just avoid it. But you can't hit a target you can't see.
So how do the experts suggest we tackle this? Break it down.
Exactly. Define your milestones clearly. They outline 5 levels.
5 levels, okay.
Level 1, financial security. That's where your absolute basic living costs, housing, food, utilities, insurance, transport, are covered by income from your investments, not your job.
Okay, basics covered. Peace of mind.
Level 2, financial vitality. This adds in half of your current fun money clothes, dining out, small treats.
That can be a bit more comfortable.
Level 3, financial independence. This is the big one for many. Your investment income now covers your entire current lifestyle, exactly as it is today, without needing to work.
True freedom from the job.
Level 4, financial freedom. Now we're adding some significant luxury items, maybe that dream car, boat, travel fund.
Living the dream.
And level 5, absolute financial freedom. Basically, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, without money ever being a concern. Philanthropy on a grand scale, etc.
Wow. Okay, having those levels makes it feel more achievable, breaking it down.
It does. And the key then is calculating your specific number for each level.
And the book has a story about this, right, Angela?
Yeah, great example. Angela thought she needed something like $3 million for retirement. Felt impossible.
I can see why.
But when she actually sat down and calculated just her basic monthly expenses for that first level, financial security, she realized she only needed about $34,000 a year.
Okay, $34,000 a year still sounds like a lot.
But to generate that income, using a conservative withdrawal rate, she only needed about $680,000 in investments.
$680.
Mm-hmm.
That's less than a quarter of the $3 million she had in her head.
Exactly. Suddenly it felt certain, achievable. It gave her a real reason to get started, a clear target. There's even an app mentioned in the book to help you do these calculations easily.
That's powerful. Just knowing the real number changes everything.
And what's really cool is what happens in your brain once you do know that number. Your subconscious, specifically the reticular activating system.
The what now?
Reticular activating system, RAS. It's like the filter in your brain. Once you define a target, like your financial number, your RAS starts noticing things related to it, opportunities, information that you were completely blind to before.
Like when you decide you want a red car, and suddenly you see red cars everywhere.
Precisely like that. Your brain flags it as important and starts filtering your reality to help you get there. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. Define the target, calculate the number, and your brain helps you find the path. Which brings us nicely to part 4, deciding how to invest that money. Asset allocation.
Yep. And this, according to Nobel Prize winners and legendary investors, is arguably the single most important investment decision you'll ever make.
More important than picking the next hot stock.
Way more important. Yet, incredibly, the sources say 99% of people know very little about it.
99%. So what is it, fundamentally? How do we get it right?
Fundamentally, it's about how you divide your money into different buckets. The sources introduce 3 main ones: the security peace of mind bucket, the risk growth bucket, and the dream bucket.
Security, risk growth, dream. Okay, let's start with security. Why is that one so crucial?
It's crucial because of our psychology. Remember that loss aversion thing?
Yeah.
We feel the pain of losing money way more intensely than the pleasure of gaining it.
Right, the monkeys and the apples analogy in the book.
Exactly. This bucket is your shield. It protects you financially, yes, but maybe more importantly, emotionally, from those inevitable market downturns. It lets you sleep at night knowing a portion of your money is safe.
Okay, makes sense. So what actually goes in the security bucket? What kind of safe investments?
Well, traditional bank CDs, they're safe, FDIC insured, but the rates are usually so low, the book jokingly calls them certificates of death.
Right, you barely keep up with inflation, if that.
Exactly. But there are better, still secure options. Market-linked CDs, for example. They also have FDIC protection on your principal, but they give you a chance to participate in some market upside.
Okay, principal safe, potential for growth. What else?
Then there are fixed indexed annuities, FIAs. We touched on these. Experts in the book call them the holy grail of retirement income solutions.
Big claim. Remind us why.
Because they offer a 100% principal guarantee from the insurance company, they track market gains, usually up to a certain cap. And this is key, they lock in those gains every year.
Lock them in. So if the market goes up 8%, you get credited that, or up to the cap. And if the market crashes the next year,
your value doesn't go down. It stays at that locked-in higher level. It's like an elevator that only goes up or stays put. It never goes down due to market losses.
Wow. Upside potential, no downside market risk. That sounds amazing for peace of mind.
It really is. Another secure option mentioned, maybe less common, is investing in first trust deeds, basically, secured loans on real estate.
Like being the bank?
Kind of. The example given is lending $1 million secured by a property worth $2 million. You get a solid interest rate, maybe 10% in the example, and you have strong collateral if things go wrong. It shows security isn't always about near zero returns.
Got it. Secure doesn't have to mean stagnant. Okay, now for the fun part. The risk growth bucket.
Right. This is where you're aiming for higher returns, playing to win, but the sources are clear. You have to be mentally prepared for volatility here. Markets go in cycles. You might lose a portion if you don't have those security measures in place.
So what kind of things go in here? Stocks, obviously.
Stocks, yeah. Also things like higher yield bonds, sometimes called junk bonds, but potentially offering good returns, like the Qantas or Egyptian T-bill examples. Various types of real estate investing, like rental properties or fix and flips.
Lots of options. But the real magic isn't just picking assets, it's the allocation, right? How the masters do it.
Exactly. That's the core lesson. So let's look at some of the giants. Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater, the world's biggest hedge fund.
What's his big insight?
He realized a typical 50-50 stock bond portfolio isn't balanced at all in terms of risk. Because stocks are so much more volatile, they actually account for about 95% of the portfolio's risk.
Wow, 95% from stocks, even if it's only half the money.
Yeah. So his all-weather portfolio isn't based on predicting the future, but on balancing risk across 4 potential economic environments or seasons: rising growth, falling growth, rising inflation, falling inflation, deflation.
Prepare for any weather. Don't try to forecast it.
You got it. And the results. From 1984 to 2013, it averaged nearly 10% a year, net of fees, made money 86% of the time. And in the down years, the average loss was tiny, like 1.9%. It even made money during some of the worst market crashes since the Depression.
That's incredible resilience. Who else offers a powerful model?
David Swenson, the guy who managed Yale's endowment, grew it from $1 billion to nearly $24 billion. Just phenomenal returns, around 14% annually over decades.
The Yale model. What does he recommend for average folks like us?
His personal advice is a bit different from the Yale endowment, simpler. He suggests 30% in the security bucket split between regular U.S. Treasury bonds for deflation protection and TIPS, Treasury Inflation Protected Securities, for inflation protection.
Okay, 30% secure, covering both inflation and deflation risk.
And the other 70% goes into risk growth, but heavily diversified. U.S. stocks, foreign developed market stocks, emerging market stocks, and real estate investment trusts, REITs.
So broad diversification in the growth part. How did his approach hold up in crashes?
Amazingly well. During the dot-com bust, 2002, when the S&P 500 lost half its value, his recommended portfolio lost only about 4.6%. In the 2008 crash, the S&P lost 37%, his lost 31%. Still a loss, but significantly less painful.
Shows the power of that allocation. And fun fact mentioned, women tend to be better investors.
Apparently so. The book cites research suggesting less testosterone-fueled overconfidence leads to less frequent trading and better long-term results. Interesting, huh?
Very interesting. Okay, Dalio Swenson. What about the Oracle himself, Warren Buffett? His advice must be super complex, right?
You'd think so, but actually, no. His advice for his own family, for what should happen with his estate when he's gone, is incredibly simple.
Really? What is it?
He recommends putting 10% in short-term government bonds.
Okay, small security slice.
And 90% in a very low-cost S&P 500 index fund, like Vanguard's.
90% in just a basic U.S. stock market index fund. That's it.
That's it. His reasoning is that consistently trying to beat the market is a loser's game for most people, especially after fees. Just owning the market cheaply has outperformed most active managers, even fancy hedge funds, over the long haul. He famously won $1 million bet proving this point.
Wow. Sometimes simpler really is better. Okay, so we have these powerful allocation models. How do we actually implement them? What are the practical techniques?
2 main ones are highlighted. First, diversify across time. This is dollar cost averaging.
That's right, investing the same amount regularly no matter what the market's doing.
Exactly. Like your automatic 401k contributions, it takes the emotion out. You buy more shares when prices are low, fewer when they're high. It smooths out your ride. While putting in a lump sum might work out slightly better if the market only ever goes up.
Which it doesn't.
Right. Dollar cost averaging usually performs better in volatile or flat markets and, crucially, reduces the potential for regret if you dump all your money in right before a crash.
Makes sense. What's the second technique?
Rebalancing. This is key. Periodically, maybe once a year, you adjust your portfolio back to your target allocation.
So if stocks did really well and now make up too much of your portfolio according to your plan,
You sell some of the stocks and buy more of whatever underperformed, like bonds, to get back to your target percentages, say, back to that 70-30 Swenson mix or Buffett's 90-10.
so it forces you to sell high and buy low automatically.
Precisely. It locks in some gains and reinvests in assets that are relatively cheaper. Mary Callahan Erdos at JP Morgan apparently rebalances constantly. Others, like Burt Malkiel, prefer doing it annually. The frequency isn't as important as just doing it systematically.
And the consequences of not doing this stuff, of poor allocation, they can be brutal.
Absolutely devastating. The book tells the story of Jonathan. Made over $150 million selling his company. Huge win.
Life-changing money.
Should have been. But he ignored advice. Instead of diversifying, putting a chunk in his security bucket, he liquidated everything and poured it all into the Las Vegas real estate market right before it crashed.
Oh no, he lost it all.
Lost it all. A really stark reminder that making money is one thing. Keeping it and growing it requires discipline and sticking to sound allocation principles.
Wow. Okay, so allocation is king. Now, how do we take that foundation and build a plan that lasts a lifetime? Part 5, creating a lifetime income plan. This taps into a huge fear, right? Running out of money in retirement.
It's the number one fear for many baby boomers, absolutely. The sources paint this picture of John. He retires with $500,000. Market drops early in his retirement, cuts his savings in half within 5 years. Even though the market recovers later.
The damage was done.
The damage was done. The early losses meant he ran out of money by age 83. A really scary scenario.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So how do we avoid becoming John? This is where annuities come back in, right?
Yeah.
Even though they have a bad rap sometimes.
Exactly. The book really tries to rehabilitate the idea of annuities, distinguishing the good from the bad. They feature Dr. Jeffrey Brown's serious credentials, advisor to the U.S. Treasury, World Bank, on the Social Security Board.
Okay, knows his stuff.
And he argues that certain types of annuities are actually crucial tools for guaranteeing lifetime income, much like Social Security itself provides a base. He acknowledges some variable annuities are terrible, packed with fees, but others are very different.
Specifically, those fixed-indexed annuities, FIAs, we talked about for the security bucket.
Precisely. Let's just quickly recap the magic there. 100% principal protection from the insurance company. You participate in market gains, usually up to a cap. And crucially, those gains get locked in annually. They never go down due to market decline.
The elevator that only goes up.
Yeah.
How can insurance companies offer that? Sounds too good to be true.
It's actually pretty clever. They take the bulk of your money, say 90-95%, and invest it very safely in bonds to guarantee your principal back. Then they use the small remaining portion, the interest earned, to buy options on the market index, like the S&P 500.
So the options give you the upside potential.
While the bonds guarantee the safety net, it's a structure that provides that upside without the downside market risk.
Very smart. But traditionally, these weren't available to everyone, right? Needed big lump sums.
Yeah. Often required large minimums and were typically aimed at people nearing or in retirement, maybe 55 plus. But the book discusses a push to make these more accessible, even to younger people starting out, through partnerships like one mentioned with Cody Foster's firm, Advisors Excel, trying to level the playing field.
That's great. Beyond the investments themselves, what about accelerating the path to freedom? Tax efficiency must play a huge role.
Oh, massive. It's like adding rocket fuel. Obvious ones are Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks. Pay tax now, but all the growth and withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. Huge advantage over decades.
Definitely. What else? Anything more exotic?
Well, there's something the New York Times apparently called the secret of the affluent, private placement life insurance, or PPLI.
PPLI. Sounds exclusive.
It kind of is, usually for high net worth folks due to complexity and cost, but the benefit is potentially huge. It allows your investments inside the policy to compound completely tax-free, and you can access the money tax-free later through loans. The example given, $1 million invested could grow to over $30 million in 40 years, compared to maybe $7 million in a regular taxable account, just due to the tax drag being eliminated.
Wow, that's like a 4x difference just from taxes.
Potentially, yes, but it comes with strict rules about who manages the investments inside, so it's not for everyone.
Gotcha. Any other big tax strategies?
A really simple but powerful one. Change your zip code.
Move. Seriously.
Seriously. The book highlights the massive difference state income taxes make. moving from a high-tax state like California, with a top rate of 13.3%,
Yeah, that hurts.
to a state with no income tax like Florida, Nevada, Texas. The savings can be enormous. They give an example of someone saving enough in state taxes alone to fund an extra 8% going into their dream bucket each year.
So the tax man is basically filling your dream bucket for you.
Effectively, yeah. It's a very practical, though sometimes life-disrupting way to accelerate your plan significantly.
Okay, powerful stuff on securing income and boosting growth through tax efficiency. Now, let's shift gears slightly in part 6. Let's peek inside the billionaire's playbook.
Yeah.
Investing like the absolute top 0.001%.
Yeah, this section moves beyond just strategies and looks at the mindsets and core principles of some real icons. We've touched on Dalio, Swenson, Buffett. Who else is featured?
Let's start with Carl Icahn. The book calls him the most feared man on Wall Street. Why?
Because he's an activist investor. He doesn't just buy stocks. He buys large chunks of companies he thinks are undervalued or poorly managed, gets himself on the board, and then fights like hell to force changes that unlock value for shareholders.
So he shakes things up.
Big time. And his results. Over decades, his compounded returns were apparently 31%. Compared to Buffett's 20%. That's 50% more. And he often holds these positions for 10, 20, even 30 years, completely debunking the idea he's just a pump and dump guy.
What drives him? What's his origin story?
He actually lost everything in the 1962 market crash. That experience taught him the value of finding situations with limited downside, what he calls riskless arbitrage. Finding opportunities where if you do the work, you almost can't lose. It requires deep analysis and often a fight.
Fascinating. Okay, who's next? Someone who changed the game from a totally different perspective.
Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, the index fund revolutionary.
Bogle.
Yeah.
A true hero for the small investor.
Absolutely. He championed the idea of low-cost index funds. People laughed at first, called it Bogle's folly. Now Vanguard manages trillions.
What was his core idea?
Super simple, super profound. All investors collectively are the market. So, as a group, you can't beat the market average, but you can match it, you can be the market, by owning a low-cost index fund.
And avoid the fees that kill active manager performance.
Exactly. He showed how those typical active management fees, maybe 2% all in when you count everything, just decimate long-term returns. That 7% gross return becomes 5% net. Over 50 years, that's the difference between $1 turning to $10 versus $30 if you just index cheaply for, say, 0.05%. His whole mission was giving the average person a fair shake.
Humility and low cost win again. Okay, what about pure risk management? Any masters featured there?
Paul Tudor Jones, an absolute legend, had something like 28 straight profitable years without a single losing year.
28 years without a loss. How's that even possible?
Incredible discipline and focus on risk. He shares what he calls his $100,000 business education, basically, his key rules.
Okay, give us the rules.
Rule number 1, always use the 200-day moving average as a defense. If an asset drops below its 200-day average price trend, get out. It's a simple rule to avoid writing big trends down. He used it to get flat, totally out of the market, right before the huge 1987 Black Monday crash.
Wow. Simple, but saved his skin. Rule 2.
Always look for trades with at least a 5-to-1 reward-to-risk ratio, meaning for every $1 you're risking, you need to see a clear path to making $5.
5 to 1. That's a high bar.
It is, but think about it. If you stick to that, you can be wrong 80% of the time and still not lose money, assuming you cut your losses properly on the losing trades. It forces you to only take the absolute best opportunities where the odds are heavily stacked in your favor. It's all about capital preservation first.
Incredible focus. Who else stands out from the playbook?
Mary Callahan Erdos, CEO of JP Morgan's massive asset management arm overseeing trillions. Her insight is interesting. She says financial stress never really goes away no matter how wealthy or successful you are.
Really? Even for billionaires?
Apparently so. Her antidote: focus relentlessly on what you can control and consciously build balance into your life. Don't let the markets consume you.
Wise advice. Any others briefly mentioned?
Yeah. T. Boone Pickens, the energy tycoon with his focus on U.S. energy independence. Mark Faber, Dr. Doom, the contrarian, always looking for bubbles and recommending gold. Charles Schwab, who democratized investing by slashing brokerage fees way back in the 70s. Sir John Templeton, the pioneer of global investing, famous for buying at the point of maximum pessimism.
A diverse group of strategies and personalities. But is there a common thread?
Yes. The book finds one striking commonality, regardless of their investment style. Every single one of these masters, these billionaires, shares a deep belief that true wealth, true meaning, comes from contribution, from giving back.
That's powerful. Using their success to make a difference.
Exactly, which leads perfectly into our final part, part 7, just do it, enjoy it, and share it.
Bringing it all together, how to actually make the changes stick.
And the sources emphasize 3 key levers for any breakthrough: your state, your story, and your strategy. We've covered a ton of strategy.
Right, the how-to. What about story and state?
Your internal story is huge. Those limiting beliefs we carry about money is evil, rich people are greedy, I'm just not good with numbers. These stories literally block us.
They become self-fulfilling prophecies.
Totally. The book shares the story of Julie, a successful screenwriter who genuinely believed money was inherently bad. This subconscious belief stopped her from even looking at her finances for years, despite making good money.
What changed?
She had to consciously change her story, realize money is just a tool, and she could use it for good. Once she shifted that belief, she teamed up with her husband, finally looked at their investments, ditched the high-cost funds, and built a real plan. Changing the story was the first step.
So, examine your beliefs about money. Got it.
What about state?
This is about your physiology, your emotional energy. The book cites Harvard professor Amy Cuddy's research on power poses.
Yeah, the Wonder Woman pose. Exactly. Just standing like that for 2 minutes actually changes your body chemistry. Increases testosterone, confidence hormone, by 20%, decreases cortisol, stress hormone, by 25%.
Wow, just from posture.
Yeah. And people who did it were 86% more likely to take a risk, to gamble in the experiment. Your physical state directly impacts your confidence, your willingness to act, your decision-making. So manage your state consciously. Stand tall, breathe deep, move your body.
Okay, state and story are crucial foundations. How do we speed up the actual financial plan? The book talks about mindful savings, right?
Yes. And it's not about a restrictive, painful budget. It's about shifting to an empowering spending plan, aligning your spending with what truly brings you joy and what moves you towards your long-term freedom goals.
So being conscious about where the money goes.
Exactly. And finding leaks. Like Angela, the woman who calculated her number, she realized her fancy car wasn't bringing her that much joy compared to the $400 a month payment. She traded it in, saved nearly $5,000 a year, and put it straight into her freedom fund.
Simple but impactful.
Or Lisa, who struggled with impulse buys. Her strategy: just wait 48 hours before buying anything non-essential. Often the urge just faded. It's about finding those small recurring expenses you can cut or reduce without feeling deprived.
Okay, save more mindfully. What about the other side of the equation? Earning more.
This is maybe the most powerful accelerator and the #1 way to earn more. Invest in yourself. Become more valuable.
Jim Rohn's quote: work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
That's the one. In today's economy, skills constantly need updating. Technology creates new roles: social media strategist, drone pilot, AI specialist, while others fade. You have to keep learning, keep retooling.
Like the teacher mentioned, Ki-hoon.
Yeah, a teacher in South Korea who ended up earning $4 million a year by constantly investing in his teaching skills, learning new technologies, finding ways to reach and serve more students online. Continuous self-investment.
And it's not just about skills, but mindset too, an entrepreneurial mindset.
Absolutely. Even if you have a job, look for problems to solve, ways to add more value. Think like an owner. The book gives examples like Sarah Blakely starting Spanx with just $5,000 and writing her own patent because she couldn't afford a lawyer.
Identifying a need and just going for it.
Or Nick Woodman creating the GoPro because he couldn't get good action shots while surfing. Find a frustration, create a solution, add value. That's how you earn more.
Okay, save more, earn more. What about the bigger picture? Sometimes it feels like resources are scarce, the future is uncertain.
The book tackles that head-on, pushing back against scarcity thinking by highlighting the incredible accelerating power of technology.
How so?
Peter Diamandis' metaphor is great. Scarcity isn't usually about running out of the resource, like oranges on a tree. It's about lacking the technology, the ladder, to access it affordably.
Like the whale oil crisis back in the day. Everyone thought the lights would go out.
Until kerosene and then electricity came along. Technology creates abundance. Think about Dean Kamen's slingshot machine, purifying any water source. Or vertical farming, growing food indoors with massive efficiency. Or Ray Kurzweil's work on lab-grown meat. Technology is constantly turning scarcity into abundance.
That's a hopeful perspective. And it's not just big labs, right? Innovation is getting democratized.
Massively. Easton LaChapelle's story is amazing. As a 17-year-old working from his bedroom, using the internet, 3D printing, open source designs, he completely revolutionized prosthetic limbs, making them radically cheaper and more capable.
Wow. From his bedroom.
Yeah. It shows anyone with passion and internet access can become a creator, an innovator, leveraging technology to solve huge problems. We're moving from just being consumers to being potential creators.
That's incredibly empowering. Okay, so we've mastered the game, built the plan, accelerated it. What's the ultimate point? What's the real wealth?
This is where the book gets really profound. It argues the ultimate wealth goes way beyond dollars and cents.
Health being a big one.
Huge. There's this poignant anecdote about seeing supposedly the richest man in Canada at a Cirque du Soleil show. He had all the money in the world, but his health was so bad he was physically struggling, unable to enjoy the experience his wealth afforded him.
Chilling. Being the richest man in the graveyard is not the goal.
Exactly. Health is foundational. But beyond that, it connects back to those 6 core human needs we all have: certainty, variety, significance, love, connection, and the 2 spiritual needs: growth and contribution.
Financial mastery helps meet the first 4.
Right. It provides certainty, options, variety, maybe a sense of significance, and resources for connection. But true, deep, lasting fulfillment, that comes from meeting the needs for growth and contribution, continuously learning, evolving, and making a difference beyond yourself.
And this is where giving comes in. The secret to living is giving.
That's the core message. Contribution is what provides that deep sense of meaning and purpose. The author shares that Thanksgiving food delivery story again, how receiving that gift as a child ignited a lifelong drive to give back.
Leading him to fund college for kids, teach them service.
Yeah. It's not just about writing checks, it's about direct impact, like Chuck Feeney, the billionaire, who famously gave away his entire fortune while he was alive and lived humbly. He found more joy in giving it away than in having it.
And there's science behind this.
Yeah.
Giving actually makes us happier.
There is. Harvard research by Elizabeth Dunn and Michael Norton showed that spending even a small amount, like $5, can significantly boost your happiness if you spend it on someone else rather than yourself.
Wow. $5 on someone else brings more joy than $5 on yourself.
It's about the act of giving, the connection, not the amount.
Amazing. So how do we cultivate this state of contribution, of abundance, even when things are tough?
Gratitude. The book calls gratitude the antidote to the 2 emotions that derail us most: anger and fear. You can't be genuinely grateful and angry or fearful at the exact same time.
Okay, so practice gratitude.
A simple daily practice is recommended, maybe 10 minutes, called priming. 3 minutes just feeling deep gratitude for things big and small. 3 minutes sending blessings or positive energy to loved ones and even challenges. And 3 minutes visualizing your top 3 goals, 3 to thrive, as already accomplished, feeling the success.
Conditioning your mind and emotions for positivity and abundance.
Exactly, building that positive state. Like Malala Yousafzai, who faced incredible fear but found strength in her passion, her commitment to a cause bigger than herself. That focus on contribution, fueled by gratitude, can overcome anything.
Wow. What a comprehensive journey we've just taken.
Yeah.
Seriously. From debunking those myths about risk and fees,
Setting clear goals, calculating your numbers,
learning those advanced strategies like asset allocation, lifetime income plans,
understanding how technology is creating abundance.
and realizing that the ultimate wealth isn't just money, but health, growth, and contribution. It's a complete blueprint.
It really is, covering not just the mechanics of money, but the psychology, the mindset, and ultimately the purpose behind mastering it. It's about living a richer life in every sense of the word.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe the question to leave you with is this. If money is just a tool, a canvas, and if real fulfillment comes from growth and contribution, what masterpiece will you paint with the financial freedom you create?
How will mastering your money empower you to maximize your unique contribution? To leave a legacy that's far richer, far more meaningful than any bank account could ever measure,